Now I have to double check if there are 2 videos.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But we are warming up.
Warming up. Warming up. Okay, I only see 1 video on Facebook. Because it errored like the moment the first one loaded. So.
We're not muted. We're not muted. There, muted.
There's only 1 share link on. Ano.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I guess it was a hiccup lang.
No one has joined us yet.
Okay, my episode title is super long because the game title is long. Okay, links. Reshared.
Okay, Andre and Jay have joined us.
Hello, boys. And you're on Facebook.
I'm still. Yeah.
Hey, RJ. What's he doing? With me for your.
I forgot to fix fasting. So I was like, I've been fasting for
a day.
Yeah. I'm like, nope. Hey, RJ.
Yeah, we resumed eating shortly after 2.
Yeah, I just marked it as 2.
Hey, Karen.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
So we chose today's game because there's a Kickstarter, guys.
Oh, I'm actually not sure how we'll present these things.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll just have to try.
And we know that the camera doesn't pick up fine detail very well, so it's never gonna be great. Hey, Mitch.
This might be one of those cases where it might be better to rely on pictures. But that's the other one.
Mm-hmm. Secrets.
Oh my gosh. So it's a new week. And yeah.
We will empty the box. Or
it's definitely a new week to discuss things we love. No, I might need something to bump it up. Yeah, that's okay. Oh boy.
Mitch is already saying she loves this game. I know we're gonna end up getting the collector's edition again. And then it's gonna join the likes of Suburbia and Pret-a-Porter. Now we have multiple editions of the same game.
Now, shall we start?
Yeah, I think we start.
You're good. What happened to my clock?
You got the world clock.
Yeah. All right, that's the start. This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted, not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Just we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This episode is all about another game we love, and it is
Not just called castles, but it's the castles of the castles of Mad King Ludwig.
there. It's so tiny, but there. Yes.
So this is another game by Ted Alspach,
Hmm.
who, if you didn't pay attention to who makes your games, is the guy behind Suburbia.
Hmm.
So, and it's funny how he went from this beautiful city building game with hexagon tiles
And everything
that
uniform.
everything just fits together cleanly to a castle game where every room is different
Hmm.
because it's a and we end up jokingly keep saying just we want to play Mad Castles, but the game is actually Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
And the mad part is important because of how, since everything's so these different shapes, your castle more often than not will look strange.
Yeah, I mean it's supposed to connect to how it's the king's like demands or requests for how he wants the castle to be built
Hmm.
are wildly different, which sort of reflect everybody's goal cards for like how they score points. I'm trying to stay in frame, but
So,
um,
so the game has 1 to 4 players, and yes, the game does have solitaire rules, wherein you are all trying to design the castle, or at least your version of the castle,
yes,
to the king's specifications. This is done through the use of a variety of room tiles, which come in different sizes
and shapes.
and shapes,
Yes, that is a circle.
and well, more options,
That's the swan set.
more odd shapes, and even L-shaped areas. You'll have corridors and stairwells because what castle does not have second floors and the like.
And basements full of mushrooms.
And a large part of that is the crazy insanity of finding ways to make the most of what you build. Because not only are the rooms of different shapes, but there are different types as shown in this guide card.
Different colors you can
From
see.
armories to outdoor rooms to food rooms, utility rooms,
I think you
living
meant to read
rooms.
activity, but sure. It also reads armory in the camera. It's an
Oh, it's our activity, not armory. I'm
activity
sorry.
room.
Yeah.
It's like wow, I'm going to
Sleep
war.
rooms and basements, each of them having certain rules, like the gardens should always be outdoors. Basements can only be connected to other basements or staircases that lead up to the ground level, and the like. The game uses card drafting rules. It has end game bonuses. Tile placement is important. Set collection plays a large role in terms of points. But then it has the interesting thing of one player maps out the prices
Mm.
and the other players get to buy first.
Because he's like the head architect, I think. Yeah.
The master architect.
Master
for the
architect.
update.
Yeah. So, a quick side note before we go too far is that similar to the original Suburbia,
Mhm.
castles of now the box won't take a breath. There. Castles of Mad King Ludwig features an empty box with no insert. Okay. So once again, it is up to you to figure out how to organize your pieces and to keep them flat.
But you'll have everything from a triangular board
Similar to Suburbia.
that allows you to place the goals for that session.
Similar to Suburbia.
Like Suburbia, there are costs at the bottom, which, depending on the number of players, can determine what parts are the cheapest and what parts are not.
Mm-hmm.
Like Suburbia, parts do move down. So if things are not purchased, they in some ways get cheaper, but it's not because of the motion, but by choice. But then you have other parts which remind you of where certain tile types go. You have a scoreboard, which looks like a castle.
Yeah, it makes this weird tableau. Well, the castle's on top, and then those two pieces.
Yeah, I can't remember. What was the placement?
It was something like
Like, I think it was. Oops, sorry.
this is a game in itself.
Was it like that with the part forming? Because you then have the smallest part here in the top. Right?
Yeah. No, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I think it's like this.
Yeah, there. Wait. I got it. My fingers can do this. My fingers can do this.
Okay,
And then you have the
go.
castle.
It's such a ridiculous arrangement versus the Suburbia just had the triangle essentially and the two other pieces for your money and stuff. So first is that whole weird rule about the master architect. Someone sets the prices and everybody else purchases 1st. So the person who set the prices buys last. And the funny thing about that is that all purchases go to that player who set the prices. So you'll feel like there is a weird limited economy in the game because it is only through the completion of certain rooms that you actually add money into the system.
Money.
But otherwise, people are just paying each other because you take turns being that master builder type character. Of course, my laughs at our effort to organize the thing, and yeah, that was a struggle. It's been a while. I realize we haven't played this in at least 2 years.
For the goals, you have, of course, the different iconic symbols which relate to the rooms. In terms of reading them, it's quite simple. If you have it simply as that type, then whoever has the majority of that room type, in this case, food
Most yellow
rooms, gets the points. But you might have it instead with that square symbol, which means square area. So it's not a question of who has the most sleeping rooms.
But the largest floor area of sleeping rooms.
Because the shapes now of the rooms have their own
measurements
of
area.
And that is part of the game. You might end up buying rooms you don't really like just because you want to block people from getting those goals.
Yeah, so a key driver throughout the game is that you get what are called completion rewards. And that's why every player has this reminder of what you get. For example, every time you complete an outdoor room, you get 10,000 bucks from the bank. That sounds big, but then the prices are in thousands. So you get 10.
So let's explain completion. In a standard room like this one, for example, you will see that there are small doorway-like openings in certain areas of the tile.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see, but yeah, for example, this purple rooms are living rooms, and it has about 3 doors usually.
It's not zooming in. We're still the zoom.
Yeah, and as long as you, or does it have 4 doors? I think it's 4. And then as long as each of those doors is connected to another room by a doorway.
Or a stairwell.
Or a stairwell.
Or a corridor.
Corridor. Then that room is considered completed. The moment it is completed, you check your little completion guide and see what do I get from a living room, which says you get to re-score the completed room's points. So you score the room as normal, which depends on layout and stuff, and then you score it again, which is kind of crazy. But that's how these things go. So sometimes you're going to be aiming for particular room types, hoping to achieve the completion benefits that come. So, like for example, every time you complete a food room, you immediately take another turn. That is quite powerful. And if you time it well, you can chain rooms very quickly.
It allows you even to purchase rooms in the market, more than just one in the same turn, which can be so painful for the other players who were waiting for their turn and thinking, yes, I'm the third player, I'll be able to grab it.
Or you get the insidious bonus of things like the sleep room, which doesn't give you purchase bonuses, but it lets you determine the next 0, 1, or 2 rooms that will get added into the mix.
Now, to explain that further, there is a deck of cards, and these deck of cards determine the type of room that will be played
into the market next.
So once there are empty spots in the market, and this deck of cards, you draw and find out, okay, we'll have a 250 room, we'll have a 600 room.
Those are the floor areas.
We'll have a 400 room. And those are important because if you actually study it, it's not that visible, but let's hope it will be visible if it's
not really
dominating the screen.
There are very faint silhouettes on the back of each room type that indicate what are the possible rooms that fit this floor area. So if you look at the 500 in the middle, it has activity rooms,
gardens, outside rooms, and Oh wow, I can't read that last one. I think it's
No, the last one's outdoor, and then the other one I think is downstairs.
yes.
So the basement stuff. Jay has a question from Andre, which is it like betrayal in a sense? Well, in the sense that you're building out a house, yes, but then it's totally different
In
mechanics.
terms that it's a tile placement game,
Yeah.
then yes. But anything else related to betrayal, not so much.
Yeah, totally different mechanics.
And bear in mind, you're not just building one tableau. Every player has their own. So I have my castle, and it might be composed of a lot of the round rooms because I like the round rooms. Rocky might be building this castle filled with corridors because he actually has a goal that gives him extra points for having the most corridors. So the base game is all about that. It's all about being the master builder, maneuvering the available rooms to manipulate the market. Because when you know someone wants a specific room, then maybe it's the room that you'll set at the highest price to tempt them to buy it. Worse, you might have a room you really want. And as the one in charge of the market, you can't put it in the cheapest, so you get it practically for free.
But remember, you purchase last.
And that makes everyone else have the chance to grab it. So this delicate balance of where you price things is such a large part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like sometimes you just need money, and then you'll put the rooms that people like in the middle of the row so that they have to pay a bit more from it, but it's not too expensive that they won't buy it at all. And that works, guys. That works.
If you plan things out perfectly, you might even be able to price things at a certain way that they pay for the room you'll buy that year.
Yep. So, and just figuring out the base game alone and trying to figure out the balance of which rooms to make and how to score accordingly is everything. I mean, just look at the utility room, which is orange, and these things like only have 1 to 2 doors on them, so they close very quickly. Is that you can take 2 bonus cards from the stack and then choose one of them. So suddenly you are developing additional ways to score endgame points that other players do not, equivalent to the secret goals that you saw in the original Suburbia.
So imagine, for example, this food room, which has 2 doors.
Yeah, all food rooms have 2 doors.
So of course, at the start, you connect it to a room. So that already closes that doorway. And on a later turn, let's say you get this tile. By placing it there, you close the food room
and you close the utility room.
So you actually get 2 bonuses, an extra turn, and more endgame scoring cards in that single move.
Yeah, so the way the interconnection of timing is a lot. And then trying to figure out when are you going to go downstairs is another thing. Because downstairs rooms lets you choose any of the other 7 rewards when completed.
Yes.
So that's super powerful.
In addition, basement rooms by themselves are more powerful because they are like endgame scoring effects.
And they tend to score for every type in the game.
You might have a basement room that gives you extra points for every activity room you own. Or you might have a basement room that gives you extra money whenever you complete certain things. So basements are not something you can ignore unless everyone else is gunning for them.
Then maybe you want to stay outdoors. I don't know. And the game has a lot of these fun, and it's
a good way to show how a castle looks like.
Yeah, it's hard to illustrate, but as much as the pieces are all the same, the doors are in very different placements. So like these are just all 200s, and like this is 2 rooms connecting, and then there's another door at the end. I could theoretically do this, although this is a super closed circuit. So, but they did something really smart with how the doors are placed so that you will get very surprising interconnections between shapes, and that no matter how different the areas are, sometimes you get super beautiful Tetris moments of
perfect fits.
3 to 4 different shapes linking together. They're like, oh, it's so beautiful, and I live for these moments in the game.
A large part of the craziness of the game is the fact that it pays attention to your table. Part of the rules, of course, include you cannot overlap rooms. If the room cannot fit, if the room cannot align so that the doors align without pushing the other tiles, then it's not a legal placement. However, it also includes the rule that if you cannot place it in a
On the
way
table.
that it no longer overhangs from the table, it's not a valid placement.
So
You're
your
not
castles aren't that
officially you're
mad.
not allowed to move your castle.
Yeah, yeah. It is that once you start building, that's it. And in the beginning, in the base game, your starting tile is this octagonal piece, which really you can just put anywhere on the board and just build outward.
So here we have a nice example.
But
from
yeah,
a
that's
piece.
the starting piece, and then look how different the shapes are. But then there's very nice tight connections between them, and you gotta love that. You gotta love how when a castle nicely comes together.
So
That's the base game.
that's the base game.
Ah,
The base game in itself is extremely replayable. The fact that the market randomly draws tiles means there might be games wherein the big pieces never show up, or there might be games wherein you keep getting the same type of piece. The fact that other players manipulate the market every turn makes everything feel so different. Because one player might focus on food in one game, and the next game they might not care and just try to have the most towers because they think it's nice. And surprisingly, both game approaches still allow you to win. The game is flexible enough in that way.
mhm. So it shares a lot of the versatility that Suburbia brought to the table, and so good job Ted Alspach that he found another way to build on that. But then he decided the game needed secrets, and that is the official expansion of Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Secrets.
Secret starts by replacing the starting piece.
Yeah. So instead of the initial foyer, you now have the foyer with a bit of a moat because now you can build a moat.
The moat is a new piece or new tile type in the game that you actually build. And as you are probably noticing, yes, it is.
A very small fixed area.
It starts shrinking your playable area. It starts affecting things. But you'll notice every moat piece
Reminds you.
has its own effects. Similar to the lakes and borders from Suburbia, the moat adds a new gameplay element in the game wherein you might willingly choose to limit yourself. But if you successfully complete the moat in all 4 areas, you might get big bonuses ahead.
But yeah, it only works if you can close it. If you don't close it, the moat has no bonus points. And that's a balancing act. And when we play with the expansion, I've seen games where people start the moat and maybe go as far as 2-3 sides and then give up and like not do it because they kept building giant outdoor rooms and it goes past the top.
But if you do complete the moat, can you see there the completion reward?
You choose 0 or 1 room from the stack and add it to your castle. Just that. You get a free tile. And it's not even a random tile. It is a room of your choice from any stack of your choice, which is like the perfect way to boost up your room allocation to hit a score.
Now, Secrets adds a lot of new rooms, of course. They generally still have the same shapes. But to understand what Secrets adds, you need to realize that in the base game, part of the reason activity rooms gave you outright points was that
They're annoying.
they gave penalties to rooms beside them. If you study the cards, the tiles, each tile has little, I guess, iconic equations. So, for example, this one says, it's kind of hard to see, I'm sorry.
It's a point for every corridor.
And then in others, you might have something here, and this one says
2 points for every adjacent living room.
Yeah. Activity rooms tend to have the reverse. They might have negative points for every evening room beside this. Or you might have even huge penalties for any room touching it, not necessarily connected to it.
Because you have to recognize the activity rooms are all the noisy rooms. They are literally a bowling alley, a board game room, an amphitheater. So
in
it's
response
funny.
to that, Secrets adds corridors. These are secret corridors. Every player starts with a number of them, which allow you to interconnect activity rooms to other rooms, and suddenly the noise penalties are gone.
Wow, secret spaces. Yeah, Mitch responds to, hindi raw makatabi ang activity room sa bedroom. Yes, nobody wants an activity room next to
Do
the
you
sleeping
want a
room?
concert hall beside your bedroom?
Do you want a church that is connected to your living room?
Secrets also adds Swan Tokens.
Swans.
Swan Tokens are different colored tokens that show swans. We like, of course, showcasing them in the moat when we can. But there are 5 different colors: green, yellow, red, blue, and purple.
And they're drawn at random whenever you purchase a room with a swan icon.
Because swans are placed on the rooms just like coins were in the base game. In the base game, after every round, any rooms that were not purchased are given coins to make them more attractive for later purchases.
They are quote-unquote discounts to the price, or
So-
rebates for the price.
So if you might want to buy something that was in a position that shows 4,000, but then you realize there are 5 coins on it, you're actually buying it and getting paid 1,000 to do so. In the new game with secrets, swans then are also tokens on it, and the swans are exposed. So you might buy something because the green swans you want are on it, even if you don't like the room.
Because there are bonuses for getting sets of swans.
Yes.
But it must be a complete set, not, I mean, for to maximize your points.
Mhm.
If you keep getting the same color, you don't really get
So
bonuses.
similar to games like Tokaido, as well as what is that other game with the set collection? Sushigo.
Okay, that's fair.
By having the complete set, you maximize the points. By having multiple small sets, you still get points, but it's not as huge as it could have been.
Yeah, it's like when you get souvenirs in Tokaido, and like if you keep getting the same one, then it just counts as 1 point. So not optimal from an end game perspective. But you can also trade in the swans.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm. If you do look for secrets, assuming you already have castles, be aware that secrets comes in a plastic wrapped, non-board, non-box container
Yeah, it's basically the punch out sheet for the moat and the additional pieces.
with this wrapper.
Yeah, with the back and then the manual on the front wrapped in, and it just sealed in plastic. So it's really not much of it doesn't give you more of a board, similar to like when you get Suburbia Inc., where it doesn't really have its own box, then you can stuff everything into the existing box because there's so much space. But yeah,
Hi, Taran, and we both look so posh.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know how to respond. We're not in our castle.
I don't know if it's me, but I thought there was an earthquake for a moment. We'll
just
find out
you.
in Twitter. Moving on. So we have secrets and we have the base game. We are very happy that they all fit in one box, and we are very happy with this game.
There's a lot of space in the box. We could fit more expansions if there were more expansions.
We were happy to find out that there are 2 new expansions, but you must get them.
In the new collector's edition Kickstarter.
Castles of the Mad King Ludwig has an upcoming Kickstarter for its collector's edition, which, from what we've seen from the preview, kind of reminds you of the big box of the Suburbia set.
But I don't
Probably-
think it's going to be as big.
but it will have its own ready-to-use trays for the players. It will have its own tile set. They're boasting all new art. I'm expecting that there might be even larger pieces.
No, they said they are increasing the size of all pieces in the game, which now adds an extra level of difficulty for fitting them on a table.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's really a smart thing to do for the game, which is already a challenge to fit. I mean, when you play with secrets and everybody's building moats, oh my god, there's so much collision going on. But of course, it's not valid to collide, and you will have arguments about people growing their castles in one direction.
Mhm.
It's just really like stop. This is my part of the table. Don't make any more rooms. Challenge. One of the expansions is called the Towers expansion, which has given them an excuse to 3D print custom tower tile pieces, which will be, I think they'll come pre-painted or maybe not pre-painted, in all these things. So it's stress. And we're still probably gonna get it because we do like this game. We haven't played it as much as we played Suburbia,
Mhm.
but I feel like if we've gotten people to like Suburbia, we can get them to enjoy this and throw them for a loop because it's similar but so different at the same time, and it's just crazy.
The game also has spin-offs. Unlike other games out there, Castles of the Mad King Ludwig has somehow um, found a lover.
Because there's another game that prominently has castles in the name. This being no different. Sorry,
Yeah.
because no between,
So there's
between.
a different game called Between Two Cities, which
Ah.
uses a similar system but is not quite the same. However, there is a third game
Between two
called
castles.
Between
of
the Two
King Ludwig.
Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which combines Between Two Cities with Mad King, and
We don't own a copy.
they are not. It's not an expansion that requires both sets. It's a standalone game of its own.
Yeah, which is a weird blend of the rules of the two games in a different, unexpected result.
Mhm.
Because everybody now is building one castle, more or less, and then what you're all doing is just adding rooms to it.
The areas you have in between each player's are vital in the game. So the right end of my castle might be affecting his left side to some extent, and it's an interesting system that you might want to look at.
And I like the fact that what's this? That game had the weird moat mechanic where you are putting moat tiles slowly around the border.
Wait,
of the
no,
game.
that's something else.
That's another game.
That's Palace of the Mad King,
Oh my god, I mixed up.
which is
I'm
an
so
even
sorry.
other spin-off game.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up. Yeah, then Mitch was also saying, is there a Palace game?
Yes.
So yeah, but so wait, so between
Between Two
two-
Cities has you
between
playing
two
tiles.
castles of Mad King.
Is a combination of Between Two Cities and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. We
It-
have not played that game yet.
I thought we played someone else's copy. We
We
didn't.
played Between Two Cities.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
This games drive you mad. Okay, the Palace of Mad King Ludwig, which we have.
There. It's there.
Yeah, it's over here.
Will be a focus of a different episode by itself.
because it's a different system again,
But it still borrows a lot of a similar mechanics.
and that's the one with the closing month.
And
Yeah,
it uses squares rather than the weird shapes, which was the biggest change from this game when we first saw it.
Yeah, because it suddenly it's like, oh, things now fit super neatly.
In a grid.
Yeah, but no, it's still crazy.
Yeah, we'll explore that as an episode on its own. But for now, we have Castles of the Mad King Ludwig. If you are hoping to play this and you're not sure about investing in the board game, there is an app. I'm not sure if the app is still available. I purchased it a few years ago. The app does have AI players. I do not recall it having online play.
If it's similar to the Suburbia app, then yeah.
Yeah.
The Suburbia app is also like a solo play
It
experience.
seems to be a constant of the earlier board game
Yeah.
adaptations. The digital app as well. The AI players are kind of kooky. They're not the best players to fight against. But so far from my gameplay, they're still fun enough to go through when you're playing.
Yeah, I don't see it on Steam. Steam has a Tabletopia version for Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, but that's about it. We're double checking now.
I'm checking for the app. But I still play it every now and then. It's still listed on the App Store as $8 or £9, depending on where you look. €9.
Oh yeah, Castle of Mad King Ludwig. It's 400 pesos on Google Play.
Mhm.
Between Two Castles. Ooh, it's not showing me a price. Oh, it's just a scoring thing. Never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, Castles of Mad King Ludwig is
Um,
still around, and it's $400. Does it include the expansion?
No, I have not seen the expansion. At least not since I've been playing.
Okay.
Maybe they've added it since as a DLC. I'm trying to load the page just to see if it does have online multiplayer.
Oh, is that something that you can see? Because here it doesn't list.
There.
2 to 4 player pass and play
Okay, pass and
computer
play.
matches. Yeah, yeah.
And then it has the solo campaign mode, which is actually fun because the campaign mode forces you to think and plan in different ways because it has certain goals you have to fulfill. But yeah, it's still more focused on local play. It allows you to pass and play with an iPad or a tablet. I do not recommend it on the phone. You're gonna hate yourself looking at the details on the phone. But yeah, I guess we can then talk about tactics.
Goals are everything.
Mhm.
Goals are everything.
It's easy to get lost with the creative
Not a
fun.
swan, it's a duck.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost with the creative fun of building the castle, to be honest. You will find yourselves probably losing the first few games you play because you're too happy making your castle make sense. You'd be like,
It's
oh,
nice when like
it's a
the L
library.
shape wraps around a square
Mhm.
and connects perfectly to a flat side of a hexagon tile or whatever.
or,
and like,
or making things that make sense. Like you might have a tower that's a music hall, then it connects to 3 beautiful gardens, and then the gardens lead to this majestic hallway. And if it's not giving you points, it's a pointless castle.
but it's fun. It's a mad castle, which is not the name of the game. But once you get over the building fun, then it's really which is your turn as the master builder is like for me always the most important turn because that's when you're going to generate money for yourself, but it also gives you the most potential control for figuring out a room that you really want to add to your castle. And that pricing mechanic is bonkers because the problem with putting the room that you want as the most expensive one is that it could become too expensive for you, or it means you have to pay way more of your money than you want to just to get a particular room. But if it's for one of the shared goals announced to everyone, you kind of can't get away from it. You're probably going to need to hoard those room types to prevent other people from scoring it. It doesn't mean that they won't. Sooner or later, someone will complete enough outdoor rooms to generate enough money to buy anything. There are people like that who are just become rich.
For quick ways to make money, outdoor rooms, when completed, instantly earn you 10,000, which is a fast way to build. But outdoor rooms can be unwieldy sometimes because they take a lot of space. They have doors in weird positions.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might even have rooms that can't be completed. Don't obsess over completing everything unless it serves the grand scheme of your tactics. And if you must, passing and not buying a room gives you 5,000 money. It's painful because you go through a turn without a room, and that feels like a large blow against you in the end of the game. But realize that's money the master builder does not get.
Yes.
So consider passing when you realize they've planned it because they're trying to get enough money to buy the room they want.
I have no qualms about deciding to buy hallway corridor stairs because that money goes to the bank. It doesn't go to the builder, right? Or no, it also goes to
I think this goes to builder, but it's like super small.
But it's a lot cheaper than other stuff. And then I will admit, don't be afraid of activity rooms. Activity rooms are intimidating because they are penalties, but they have higher points on the tile than any other rooms in the game. And completing an activity room just gives you more points. So activity rooms are kind of stacked in favor of scoring a lot of good points mid-game. They're just a pain because they typically are the weirder shapes. There are circle activity rooms. There are octagonal, huge octagon things. Some activity rooms even penalize for other activity rooms. They just hate everybody. So watch out.
So Mitch shares, it's a Mensa game. Yes, it is. And also shares, it's fun to create a story with the rooms you create. Creating your own story is always a large part of the fun of this game. But another level of fun for me is finding the stories that the designer probably thought of. You'll notice how sometimes the larder perfectly fits with the kitchen.
Yeah.
Or the bedrooms make perfect sense to have that secret passageway to some other room. And you'll know it was intended because the rooms fit so well.
There are perfect alignments.
And it's fun finding those little things for yourself. I guess the last bit of trivia I'll throw is if your eyes are sharp, you will even find a copy of Suburbia in one of the rooms.
There is a game room. Someone is playing a game in this weird medieval castle. Oh, there was something we didn't get to touch on, but it's a little nuanced thing that comes in the Secrets expansion. Is that because of the moat, suddenly the negative space around rooms counts towards certain points.
So you see these triangular holes between the rooms. The Secrets expansions makes use of these holes.
Sometimes you can score points based on them.
Sometimes you have points if that hole has more doorways that were never completed connecting to it. It's a whole new strategy to pay attention to, and it's amazing.
Oh, and then from a strategic point, sometimes accept the fact that you may not complete certain rooms in order to fit them in your space, especially when you're playing with the moat in Secrets. So you embrace the compactness sometimes and just put the door next to a wall and say screw it. As long as you because if it still means that you are achieving a goal for most number of a particular room type or most number of the greatest floor area, then do it. Do it for the goal.
My shares, sometimes you make mistakes and end up limiting your own spaces. That's true.
Yeah.
Don't rush your decision, but be mindful of how much time it's taking because you still want everyone else to have fun. And please don't be the player who insists that you're angling the room to make it fit is fine. All rooms have to be in that 90-degree.
They must be flush against one another.
As much as
the
possible.
Doors must align.
So don't be that player.
Yeah.
We know sometimes you feel the urge to.
Don't be afraid of sleep rooms. The whole seeding of tiles doesn't seem like much, but it helps angle the tiles in your favor, especially if you are focused on rooms that connect to your secret goal and not necessarily the public goals.
It also helps you extend the game.
Yeah.
And more turns means more chances to find more techniques to get more points.
That is another mechanism that if you want the game going, don't keep buying from the market because as the market moves, you will run out of cards, and once the deck runs out, it's game over. And your moat may never finish. So that's Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Castles of Mad King Ludwig's Secrets. The base game alone is fun. The expansion is delightful.
It's not necessary, but it does give that added punch if you want the base game to be more interesting.
And a fair amount of challenge, I will admit. I mean, just the swans bit, it's crazy. Just balancing swans kind of goes nuts.
We've seen some players, they didn't win, but they were like second place by just doing swans.
Yeah.
Not focusing on the rooms, but just grabbing all the swans and I have 4 sets. And it's what? Yeah.
So that's another way of going about it. But yeah, and then super excited for the Kickstarter, for the Collector's Ed. We are probably going to get it. We haven't officially said we're gonna get it, but then ever since we saw the video for the Kickstarter,
the temptation is there.
Very strong.
The urge is real. I think the only thing that will stop it is if they announce a collector's edition for some other game, and that game is closer to our hearts.
Carcassonne.
Oh.
If Carcassonne ever came up with this mega set.
Oh. A perfect set. So it's like a big box with 15 expansions.
All with the expansions labeled on the tile.
And original art.
Not
the new
art and
original art.
And with a tower style tile distribution system that fits all expansions.
I would, however, say that if that does happen, I hope they stick to the original wooden meeples. It wouldn't feel the same if they replaced it with minis.
Yeah. I mean, Carcassonne really defined the meeple for many.
Okay, we are shifting away in topic. That should be a topic of its own. But this was Ted Alspach's Castles of the Mad King Ludwig.
There's no doubt.
Oh, yes, there is no doubt. I just think there is because I'm mad. Do you have any last words?
Blue. And
that's all the time we have for this episode. We hope you had a lot of fun, and you'll join us again next time because we had a lot of fun.
Feel free to fill out the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas if you have questions for us or suggestions for topics for future episodes. Guys, we are trying to be different this year and are working out a plan of episodes in advance. So we've soft mapped out episodes this week, but we're not yet at a point where we can announce it. But That's the goal. We're gonna try to map out it ahead of time.
We'll also see if we can try to get more guests, or at least guest appearances. It's all really up in the air, but we want to keep Baduy Pride interesting and exciting for you all, and we hope you'll help us find more viewers.
Yep. Feel free to follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG Suniko.
You could also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Of course, feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what you thought about Castles of Mad King Ludwig. What was your favorite castle moment? What is your favorite tile piece? And why are you obsessed with outdoor rooms? Okay. And then be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is
Baduy Pride.
Have a good evening, everyone.